Right now, I'm joined by Denby Grace, a producer for Mafia 2 for 2K Games. The game has been delayed a little bit to later this year, but it is looking good now. Where is the game in production?
So where we're at right now is we're really sort of like putting the bows and sort of tying up all the loose ends. We're polishing things, we're balancing things, we're really heavily focused testing. We want, at 2K, we have a very high reputation that we want to uphold, you know, BioShock, Borderlands, all these games, they're hugely polished, so, and we want the same for Mafia 2, you know, we don't want to bring something that's not quite ready to gamers.
Understandable. Now, we played a little bit of the game here today, and I think one thing that people do forget, because there is driving and things we've seen before in Mafia 2 and in the first Mafia, but there's a lot of attention placed on the combat in the game.
Absolutely. One of the things that we've done with this game is we really looked at third-person shooters where it comes to the combat, you know, things like Gears of War, Uncharted, you know, the game's got a cover system. The combat itself is really quite deadly, you know. All the combat takes place in these really destructible environments. We're really pleased with the experience. It's more, like I say, it's more like a third-person shooter than it is an open-world game in that respect.
Now, with the driving, which is, of course, in the game, it's using period cars. They may not have the exact same names as what maybe, you know, the real ones were in America, but how did you guys research how the cars were supposed to handle, and are they accurate to what it would have been like back in the mid-century? So, yeah, yes and no. You know, we've taken a few liberties here and there. We want to sort of, the gameplay needs to be that thrilling, sort of exciting driving. They use a very realistic physics model, and obviously the research that we did was the torque of the cars. You can get all this sort of stuff online. But one of the things what we've done is we've given the player some driving aids. You can play it in simulation mode if you want, much like in the first game, but as well as that, we've kind of given you sort of a driving aid mode, so you're not so much sort of punished by the game for driving. So you get these exciting chases with the hubcaps flying off, tyres getting burst out, glass getting smashed. We want that sort of Hollywood white-knuckle feel, I guess, to the action. One of the things that's very apparent in the game, especially in the cutscenes, is the level of detail in the visuals. And obviously, it is trying to replicate, you know, the period of America in the mid-century. What is some of the tech that's going on underneath that hood? So the engine that's pushing Mafia around is called the Illusion engine. It's completely in-house. Now, we use a few different middleware things like face effects, PhysX, and stuff like that. But it's completely developed from the ground up by the guys at 2K Czech. We're really pleased with the results. It allows us to sort of edit these cutscenes together and then play them back in real time to the player. You know, what people are seeing in trailers and stuff is actually what it's like in the game. You know, we're not sort of hiding behind any rendered CG or anything like that. It actually looks like that. So the guys, obviously, they're doing a really high level of detail in this world. The big thing for the engine for us is the streaming technology we have. We're able to deliver this sort of 10 square miles of city with no loading whatsoever. It really is impressive that you get this experience when you're playing the game. Really important to not remove the immersion from the player. Now, in the game, we've talked a little bit about story in the cutscenes, and there's the driving, there's the action. How does it all sort of balance out? Is there a heavy emphasis on one over the others, or is it fairly even? So the story kind of, the way it's really, really integrated into, while you're driving, for instance, as you've probably heard today, the guys are completely chatting to each other. Obviously, you have these cutscenes, which are these big sort of like payoffs almost, if you like, for the action parts. But as well as that, the story sort of exposition continues as you're running around the city, as you're driving around. The whole story is a buddy story, you know. Throughout, you're usually with Joe, or Joe sort of sent you on this mission. So the story exposition continues throughout. And you're right, it is a careful balancing act that we have to complete to make sure that people are playing enough gameplay versus driving versus story. But I think gamers will see that we've done it quite well, and you've experienced it for yourself today. Yes, it is very, very, very satisfying. Cannot wait to see more. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks, Adam.